from here. As chair, I would like to call to order the meeting of the Economic Development Committee on Wednesday, July 26th. We're starting at just about 8:17. It will be a little bit quick because we do have some time commitments for a couple of people. However, I did want to at least start the meeting by saying we've got a couple of new people with us from an official standpoint. And I know we've had Michael Nordstrom join us at a past meeting, but he has been officially appointed to the EDC. He is now a member of the committee, a voting member and a participant on what we have going forward. Michael, I want to welcome you. And maybe if you could just, again, tell us a little bit about you. And then I'll move on to my next introduction.
Sure. I've been in Southborough since 2014. I live over on Meeting House Lane with my wife and my 12-year-old daughter, and we're heavily involved in all school activities and after school stuff with all of that. And my background is in medical devices and quality management, which I've been doing, pretty much my whole career. And yeah, everything around quality and setting up quality systems, interacting with the FDA and things like that. I have my master's degree, my MBA from UMass Lowell. And I'm just interested in the business side of things, try to promote the town, economic development, just whatever is a reasonable approach to growth while, making sure we're thinking about the residents. So, so I'm just happy to be here and, first kind of learn from what's going on and been trying to read some minutes and trying to get up to speed and then, contribute as I can.
Fabulous. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think you're coming in at the perfect time because for a while there, it was just a chair kind of led organization. And then we fortunately had Claire Reynolds coming on board as an interim to help move some of our things forward. But we are joined officially now by our new economic development coordinator, Lee Emerson. And I oftentimes go back and forth. Is it Lee or Leah? And I'm going to keep
Leah.
on forgetting it. Alan Belniak had to remind me multiple times to get his name correct. So maybe you could do an introduction and make sure I know the correct pronunciation of your name.
It is Leah. So you just think of the biblical Rachel and Leah, and it is the traditional spelling. So I have been in Massachusetts since late 2015. I'm a Californian native and got my start working under a senior county planner who went out with his own consultancy in Santa Barbara County. Oh gosh, that's been way back in 1999. So I worked throughout California. My cutting my teeth on it was basically through communication facilities, and I worked in about 70 different jurisdictions, never lost a permit. Of course, where I was working was rather stringent, so I'm used to massive amounts of conditions of approval. So that was very good training. From there, I worked for a transportation engineering firm in the Bay Area that was rail, highway, and bridge projects. And I've also worked in the city of Mill Valley, just north of San Francisco. It's probably a little enclave, not altogether dissimilar from Southborough. It might be a little bit bigger, but also a small town. And I was doing code enforcement there for a brief time. So since I've been back here, I have worked in a real estate office, coordinating between all of the various agents and my broker. And currently I'm still managing a property in Cambridge that consists of 8 buildings. So I'm dealing with their board. And other than that, I also worked with the Friends group where we partnered with Boston Architectural College on the abandoned Malden Hospital property and got that turned around for a community-based redevelopment plan rather than a development-driven plan that had been in the offing. So if there's anything else that you want to know about me and my background, feel free. But I'm here and I'm ready to assist and learn as much as possible.
Leah, thank you so much. I think from the interview process, and I think what you just shared, that coordination with committees, coordination with other groups, and kind of some of that marketing background can be very useful in the economic development role where you have it in Southborough. We have perhaps more limited opportunities than some communities, given the fact that we don't have water and sewer. So what we have to do is make sure we grab and address all of those opportunities, whether or not be grants, business recruitment, or business retention, in order to help the community get as many jobs and as much benefits from economic development as possible. That is, I believe, firmly based upon collaboration and feedback from our other participants, such as the the select board, the planning board, and other perhaps regional groups, which kind of leads into the next item on the agenda, which is the one-stop grant objectives. I think one of the things that I have learned, and this is the third year in the one-stop, is that those communities that actually strategize on how to apply and which grants to apply for early in the process are in a better situation to receive those grants. That means that the application is begun early. The grants that people want to apply for is known well in advance. So you can work towards technical assistance from some of those groups that are actually having the grant. And you can actually learn some of the hot button issues that those people reviewing the grants want to see. I think the one-stop is going to be around, and that is a personal opinion. We do have a new gubernatorial administration that seems supportive of the one-stop, but we always want to be aware that things can change. The other thing that may come up is that the one-stop may incorporate new grant applications based upon the goals of the administration. So it's one of the things that I'd like the Economic Development Committee to do and help work with the other groups, is to make sure that when it comes time for the one-stop grant application, which is going to be opening up in December or January for, the expressions of interest and that nature, that we are in a better position next year than we were this year, and can actually apply for more. And so that's one of the things that I think the EDC, simply because a lot of the one-stop grants are economic development related, that we want to do. So that's just as my role as chair, identifying one of those initiatives that I think is important. And that is not to say that other initiatives for the EDC or Leah might take precedence, but it's just something that I want to make sure that we have on our radar screens going forward. And with that, based upon my propensity to sometimes talk too much and a time crunch, I'm going to cut it off there and open it up to other members of the EDC on reports of things that might be of interest to the committee. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to then open it up to Leah for the coordinator report. I know you've been working for the town for 2.5 weeks, and might not have too many reports, but perhaps you just want to give us a sense of some of the things that you've learned just recently, and maybe some of the things that you have on your radar screen.
Sure. So I did look back over the previous minutes that were back in May and June. and at Claire's behest. And I understand that you wanted me to have a look at the adjacent towns to see how their committees are structured. So I've gotten about halfway through that process. I've gotten all the boroughs assessed, and I'm working on Framingham, Hopkinton, and Ashland currently. So I think the best thing that I can offer is to put together a short synopsis or summary for you, and I can share that with all the members via email. But yes, I mean, there are some interesting things that people are doing in the boroughs. Certainly, I think Westboro has an interesting setup. So it has been a learning process, and I'm eager to share with you how that currently looks. The other thing that I'm going to need to be able to do the job of, I think Rob had said in the interview process, telling the story of what the Economic Development Council actually does or provides for the town, is I am going to need to find some workarounds for any graphics based work for any promotional materials. You know, I do understand that Marika did the very nice logo for you all, and I'm going to simply recreate it in a vector format so that we can size that up or down as needed going forward. Currently, I don't have anything at this point to work off of. PowerPoint is not a graphics program. It is for presentations. You can bring graphics into it, but to generate graphics, that's a whole sidebar discussion in and of itself, which I won't go into here. So that is something that I will want the committee to take under consideration as far as the budget. Adobe, if I get a single membership, it's $49.99 per month. There is Canva available, but I think they had reserved that for the select board and anyone who is working for the select board. So I've got a couple of ideas of some workarounds that I can use in the meantime, but we can pick up that discussion at a later date.
Now, Leah, one of the things that I think I want to do is put you in the best position to succeed at those things that you excel at. That marketing and getting things available so that we can tell the best story, it is fabulous. And I think like we do have money in the budget for those software programs. And we may even have money in the budget for if you wanted to do perhaps a poster board or something that could like go in town hall as people walk in to talk about the benefits or things like that. We do have that budget, and I want you to be able to be successful. So if you're able to identify what those costs are, I think we'll be able to sign off on them without an issue.
Okay, and then that brings me to the channels that I understand have been used at least to date. And so the Facebook page was sort of in a static state. The last post was last May of 2022. I did go through the website onto the EDC web pages and had Hassan update what I thought was dated information. I had him put up the 2021 master plan is linked now rather than the 2008. I did have him hide some of the COVID dated materials that were dated back to 2020, since that really isn't the current state of things. I think the Strong South Borough that I had disappear for the reason that I think Marika had it set up where she was providing monthly newsletters. And Rob and I had a discussion around the event that we attended that it may be better to go with a quarterly report or newsletter for EDC, just so that we have more content. And I may want to get together with you, Karen, to talk about potential content for the Facebook page. The other consideration is you may want to consider going onto LinkedIn if you're really wanting to try to reach business people that may be a channel that you want some representation on. So that's just something to take into consideration. But the Facebook page I didn't have access to until yesterday. And I finally just private messaged whoever was on the end of the page, since no one seemed to know who had the admin capacity to manage it. And I ended up getting Alan Belniak. And I guess that Marika left the keys to the kingdom for the Facebook page with Alan. And so he was able to get me added as an administrator. Now, I have not added any content as of yet because I'm really here sort of at your discretion and direction as to what you would like posted. I'd just like to get a little bit of feedback. But again, if there's someone here on the committee who has the time that could meet with me and we could talk about that just on a one-on-one basis, that would be very helpful, and we can get that Facebook page resurrected. You know, I'm going to defer to Claire on the website. I'm going to have her look it over with the changes that have been implemented thus far and get her feedback on what else she thinks should or shouldn't be on there. And I would just ask all of you to review it as well, and we can make any necessary changes going forward.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help you with the Facebook page initiative. And I didn't even know we had a Facebook page. So
yeah, we had it linked on the EDC webpage through the city, said like our Facebook page, but I had them take that down until we can get that going again. So I think that's really just about it on my end. You know, of course, I'm open to prioritizing anything that you feel needs to be prioritized in the near term. We could look at near term, midterm, long-term goals. Of course, I've been looking over the implementation plan. The other thing that we'll get to, I guess, later on in the agenda is also the need for me to be authorized as a signatory. I will just preface that to be a signatory for EDC expenditures, I will need every committee member's signature on a hard copy form that accounting had provided for me. So that's something that we can talk about it offline, you know, how you want to go about doing that. I think Claire can get it to Rob for signature. If any of the rest of you would be willing to stop by town hall, I can leave it with Katie downstairs, Katie Berry, and you can add your John Hancock's at your earliest opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's that sounds like a good pathway forward, and I would like to have you as a signatory on those things. It'll just make things a little bit easier. I think one of the things that is a priority for me is business visits. And I think, again, it's you have a little bit of ramp up that you need to do to learn the community, to get the marketing set up, to kind of do all that. But it's one of those things where I think we would have some active participants from the select board and the planning board who might want to participate as well. But to that, I also noticed that Michael has a hand raised.
Yeah, just quickly, when I hear about signatures, I was just wondering, and I'm new to this obviously, but does the town use DocuSign to, you know, to try to expedite the signature process rather than getting people to show up?
I haven't seen it, but that is a very good question, and I'm certainly happy to run that through accounting and anybody else who might, well, it'd probably be IT that could possibly set them up with a DocuSign account. So I'll inquire.
All right, great, thanks.
Excuse me, this is Sam, Rob. We don't use DocuSign to my knowledge at this point. So we've talked about it, but I've never seen it go around. So that's a no. And Leah, quick question. You comment on Canva being limited to select board use. That's news to me. I'd be happy to give a push on that, but is that something that you would give you what you need, or do you need the Adobe software?
Really, the Canva is for social media and images. So, you know, ultimately to do the vector type work or newsletters, I would need access to more tools than Canva, but it's certainly a good user-friendly intro to kind of doing some quick graphic work. This is something that I actually got told by Jason Montijo in the IT department that they did
Okay.
have, I think, 2 additional licenses, but they tend to reserve that for your use and anyone that is assisting with select board.
Okay, I will inquire about that. That's news to me, and maybe there's a reason to do it, but at least I'll ask and see what happens there, and maybe that's an option to give you some short-term
Okay.
usage
then
of it.
just-
So,
Thank you, Sam. I'd really appreciate
Uh,
that. Can I follow up on Rob's comment about the getting out for the meet and greets with local business
Yes,
owners?
yeah.
I am going to be getting the list, the backlog of DBAs from the clerk's office downstairs. And so that is on my list of priorities, and hopefully on the next meeting, I can give a report on that.
Yeah, I think 2 of the key ones, and I may have mentioned these names, and Claire might know them as well, and we may have even met with them in the past. But Ferris Development, Bill DePietri, kind of on the developer side, because developers are kind of sometimes leaders in taking the role for both housing and commercial development. And I believe Claire will correct me if I have the name wrong. Tony Kwan, who owns the building where Reliant Medical is. His team might be a good one to touch base with as well.
He also owns quite a bit of property downtown, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
And the thing is, you can look big and you can look small as well. It'd be nice to be able to, from our standpoint, meet as many as possible. As a key example, if you're on 495 or Route 9, you're going to see one of Ted's trucks out there. I don't know who owns it. I'm not sure what his plans are. He bought the old Volvo site on Route 9, and he's got a great big sign there. Is he successful? Are there things that Southborough could do to help? Might that owner like to hear us just say, hey, listen, thank you so much for being in our community. We're very proud to have you here. He might like that. I don't know. It's just something to think about. And maybe if members of the committee have ideas about businesses that they'd like to learn a little bit about, just shooting a note to the team or to Leah would be a good thing. And again, cognizant of time, I think at some point in time, and this has been on our radar screen for a while, there are EDC goals in the master plan. And we have to start thinking about short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals and how we address them. I think one of the things that I am most happy about is that we now have someone internal at Town Hall who has the ear of our town manager to kind of get us the inside scoop, so to say, on which of those goals might be most pressing and where we might be able to have the most impact. Again, this goes back to what Leah, you said before, the coordination and your work with other boards. I think, again, select board and planning board are going to be working with us hand in glove because the EDC doesn't have permitting authority. We don't have any voting power in terms of those things. So we need to be as thoughtful as possible when we try to address some of those tasks. We are going to, as a committee, going to have to do something a bit more in depth, but given timing, today might not be the day. And again, and I know I'm rushing because, and I do apologize to the public out there and members of the committee, a little bit of a time crunch here. We will, going forward, I will send out, or Leah will send out an email to the committee asking if members of the committee have any topics of conversation that they want to bring up. I'm going to use an example from the past. Someone on the EDC was friendly with someone on the Trails Committee, and the Trails Committee wanted to come in and make a presentation about, I think, a grant that they were going for or something of that nature. It wouldn't normally fit underneath an economic development thought process. However, it was an idea which I believe is showing a holistic approach to economic development that I want to encompass. That wasn't the chair's idea, that was a member. So I think one of the things going forward, any other topics properly raised will be kind of, we're going to seed that out there to people to see if there are things that people might like to talk about. So that's just one thing that it is on the agenda, and I just wanted to address and kind of try to set the stage for future meetings. With that, moving on to public comment. I think Sam is the only member of the public joining us this morning. Sam, is there anything else that you might like to add?
Thanks, Rob. Not really. I think it's a great idea to get back on the conversation with the developers. We actually have Ferris Development has 2 40B projects proposed here. And we had a site visit yesterday, one at 120 Turnpike and the other at 250 Turnpike, the former CAS building. So he needs permits from the town for that stuff. He might be interested in talking with a variety of people in the town to drum up support for that kind of thing. So that would be an interesting conversation to have. And aside from that, great to see the new members, and hope you guys get some traction here. We need to get back out and talk to the business community. Thanks.
Fabulous. Thanks, Sam. With that, I guess, Leah, I turn things back over to you on the administrative elements of the agenda.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Claire as far as getting the prior meeting minutes from May 26th and June 9th approved. She was good enough to get those in front of me. She has the draft. Hopefully you've been able to review it. So if you can take a vote.
Okay, I guess that's me. So Leah sent out the drafts. The one from May 26th is already posted on the website because it is, you can post drafts that haven't been approved in order to be in compliance with the town clerk's timing. So you can either do them separate as a motion to approve May 26th and then to approve the minutes from June 9th, which was the 4-minute meeting. So that was the other one on there. Your call, Rob.
I think I'd like to get in compliance as quickly as possible. I think the drafts are fine by my standards. Sometimes I think less is more on those minutes because you are supposed to get the sense of the meeting as opposed to each and every individual word that a person says. So I am comfortable taking a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay,
meeting
do I have
minutes.
a second?
Yep.
And Claire, can you correct me as chair? Am I allowed to make a motion and second?
You can make the motion, but you can't second the same motion.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, so we have
So you have Mike Moorhead and Karen.
and Karen. Excellent. Okay, so because we're doing this via Zoom, we have to do a roll call vote. Michael?
Yes.
Yep. Second, Michael.
Yes.
Sorry.
Karen
Yes.
and Rob, chair, approved unanimously. Excellent. And again, this was a topic that Leah hit upon earlier. Again, for ease of process, I am going to make a motion to approve Leah Emerson as a signatory for payables. We will work out how that document will be signed. However, I'm making that motion and I'm hopeful that someone will second and we'll take a vote to approve it.
Second.
Second. Okay, wonderful. Okay, again, roll call vote. Michael Moorhead,
Yes.
Michael Nordstrom,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
and Rob is a yes. So that is approved unanimously. Next up, next meeting. I'm muted. Can people hear me? My computer just said I was muted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
We have to schedule the next meeting again. Sometimes mornings are a little bit tight with people's work schedules. This is a volunteer board. I want to be cognizant of everyone's work schedules. I also want to be cognizant that people have families. So I'm trying to run that balance between meeting and making sure that people do not feel undue pressure to participate all the time. For the committee, are people more interested in morning or evening meetings?
Evening for me.
Michael?
Either way, I
Yeah.
think.
Karen?
I could go either way.
Yeah, I will say, I don't have any kids, so my evenings tend to be free. I do know that sometimes Tuesday night is baseball night, Wednesday might be gymnastics. So I think rather than hitting a hard and fast schedule, what we might try to do is identify a date that works best in the month. Work towards that, but have the flexibility to adjust as things pop up with families. So Leah, maybe we look at something out in August.
Okay. Does anyone have any days of the week that are just completely out of the question, or days of the week that work for you fairly regularly?
On my side, Thursdays tend to be better.
Okay, so Thursdays, I guess, had traditionally been a good meeting date for everyone.
Yeah, I think we've
Thursday
done some
nights.
Thursday evenings in the past.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 10th or 17th.
The 10th is the Thursday and the 17th.
I can't do 10th.
Okay, so the 17th.
17th. Go for August 17th. And I'm sorry, what time in the evening is the standard?
Can we perhaps push it out to the 24th?
It's entirely fine.
Yeah,
And what is the preferred time?
7:30. What have we done before?
yeah. Yeah, I think I think 7 works better because then it gets people home just a little bit earlier. But I do realize that, you know, sometimes people's dinner schedules and stuff like that.
For clarification, Rob, are we doing it, or do we want to try to aim for an in-person meeting, or do we want to go Zoom again?
Most definitely, I would love to do it in
In person.
person.
Okay. I also, before we adjourn, I just want to point out to you all that if you could take a look at the email that Claire circulated, she's got a working document of those implementation goals from the master plan. If we could just have you review those between now and the next meeting, and then maybe we can have a little bit more in-depth discussion about that when we meet again.
Fabulous, wonderful, thank you. Yes, we'll get a chance to look at that. And again, just so we're clear, I do like Thursdays, and I want to make sure that the rest of the committee realizes that Thursday is not a day where Leah works for the town. She's got 19 and a half hours. So when we have her participating in a Thursday evening meeting, that time which she devotes to the EDC on none of her work days is going to be, taken off, by coming in later on Monday or leaving earlier on one of those work days. I just want to make sure that the committee understands that's kind of the way that we are going to work, because again, part-time position, unsalaried, hourly rate. So a Thursday meeting, which again is my kind of preference because it works for me most days, that the allocation of time is going to be such that Leah will be coming in, participating, but that will be kind of taken away from some of her work time during the day. So there's no vote there. I'm just laying it out there that is how I as chair want to run it.
And just so everyone is clear, I don't think I made that clear at the beginning. We settled on my working hours as being Monday through Wednesday, 8 to 3. So in the case that, I do have an offsite meeting or a committee meeting or meeting with folks in the community, I just am going to adjust my in-office hours accordingly. So say that Thursday, I do the meeting at 7, I leave at 2 on Wednesday. But 8 to 3, generally, if you reach out to me, I should be here.
Fabulous. Well, yeah, thanks so much. And again, we're getting up on the witching hour where I kind of need to finish tying my tie and looking nice and moving along. But again, I wanted to just thank everyone for their flexibility getting here. Michael Nordstrom, it's a pleasure to meet again via Zoom. Hopefully we'll be able to do this in person and talk a little bit more about some of those initiatives and projects where we can get involved with. And again, this is all based upon the fact that we now have Leah Emerson with us now to help us actually take some of those steps forward. So again, unless there is anything else, I think we're going to try to work towards August 24th as a evening meeting. I do know that some people might be thinking about going to Bruce Springsteen on that night. He is actually playing Saturday as well. He's got 2 shows in Foxborough. So just, I wanted to make people aware if they had concerns, Bruce is playing twice. So with that, maybe I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, and I'll second that. So again, we're going to do a roll call vote. Michael Nordstrom?
Yep.
Michael Moorhead?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Rob? Okay,
And all of you that I haven't gotten to see or meet in person, feel free to stop in and say hi.
fabulous. Wonderful. Thanks, Leah. Okay,
Okay.
I'll see everyone.
Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
okay,
Thanks
bye-bye.
for your time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.